Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. And today I'm going to be showcasing you guys the deck that I decided to make for Kool so that he can go to regionals with me, upcoming Houston regionals, and so that he can win. Now, we looked through, well, we really talked on the phone about all the decks that he can play, and I looked through my whole treasure chest and all my arsenal. We discussed all these different decks that he could play. And ultimately, I was like, cool, do you want to win or do you want to have fun? He was like, I want to do a little bit of both. So my conclusion was, well, why not have fun while you're winning, right? And winning's fun as well. So we decided, you know, we weeded out a lot of decisions. And ultimately, the conclusion that it came down to was Paleozoics. And I actually have a whole video that's coming up very soon on this particular deck because I have a lot of respect and admiration for how this deck plays, how powerful it is, for the deck itself. And I mean, we can talk about the matchups, but all across the playing field, and this is what me and Kool came to the conclusion of, all across the playing field, there are very few decks that Paleozoic is actually bad against. I mean, it's a back row deck, so it has naturally the same weaknesses that any back row deck has. That's obvious, you know. But it has a crazy good Sky Striker matchup. It's a really good Thunder Dragon matchup. It has a really, really awesome, what's the other deck I'm thinking of? Altergeist matchup. In fact, Altergeist is probably one of its best matchups. And it's not just saying it just because of what the pen and paper work looks like and what it looks like theoretically. It's the truth. It really does. Like those three right there, Thunder Dragon, Sky Strikers, and Altergeist are already three of the best decks. And then for Goki and FTK, it can struggle if he gets FTK'd, obviously, because an FTK is an FTK. But for Goki's, it has a side deck counter for all of that. And that's what we realized. We were like, the one deck that this deck is weak against is going second against Goki's, not going first. So basically, losing the die roll to Goki and FTKs can be a problem. But I'm losing the die roll to Sky Strikers and also to Altergeist and to even Thunder Dragons is really not an issue at all for this deck. It doesn't need to immediately rush and break the board. It can do its job and do what it does well. So I'm going to show you guys the list. Some cards are subject to change, like the extra deck. As you can clearly see, the Spice is Heat Wave. I built this deck for Kool, and I put my foot into it. And this is a card that I was telling Kool on the phone. I was telling him, this is going to catch a lot of people off guard. Nobody has ever played this in Paleozoics, and I'm going to be... Basically, I'm probably going to end up creating a hype out of this where everybody plays Paleozoics is now going to start running Heat Wave. And it's for a good reason. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the build. I think that's enough rambling, right, guys? I talked a lot already. So let's go ahead and start off with our Frog engine. So it's going to be the same, you know. And also, we decided to play the Spellbook engine in this list because we realized that Demise is not going to be good because actually we plan on incorporating some certain hand traps into the deck. So we felt that we still needed some plus-worthy cards. So Desires is a +1, and then also Secrets is a good +1 as well. So we felt that this would be better and a little bit more comfortable to play than Demise. It's a 4-card engine versus Demise just being a 3-of, but it allows you to play hand traps, which is really important because we're going to be side-decking Cherries and probably another hand trap for the FTK and the Goki matchup, which is the deck's worst matchup going second. So we already have a plan and a strategy for the deck's weakness, but for right now, that's the main reason for playing the Spellbook engine. And the Frogs, I can sit here and explain them, but I've done so many Paleozoic deck profiles, and everybody knows what the Frogs do, and it's really simple, so I just feel like there's no... The only interaction that I can really explain to you is that a lot of people forget all about the dupe lock and how powerful the dupe lock is, and it's a real thing. Like, it still can be done to this day, preventing your opponent from attacking and locking them out from activating effects and just completely controlling the tempo and the tide of the game with your back row and your reactive cards and your Paleozoic XYZs, and you're totally awesome. It's crazy good. So now for the spells, what we decided was every spell you draw in this deck has to be great. And so for the spells, we just have only draw power. Now, Secrets is a play that is susceptible to Drill and Lockbird, and we understand that Demise does not lose to Drill, whereas Secrets can. But we also were keeping in mind the fact that Demise has its own downside, whereas this loses to Drill. Demise is like not good in the deck that needs to play hand traps to win. And as you can see, the hand traps aren't in the main right now, and that's because, like I said, it's still under construction. We're still deciding what hand traps to put in here because Kool doesn't have Ash Blossoms and he doesn't have Ghost Bells and Haunted Mansions. and I only have one extra draw for him. So we're still tweaking the hand trap lineup, but the spell lineup I feel is really important because you need to be able to generate a +1, especially through the progression of a game, but also to recuperate. Because when you're setting traps, a lot of Paleozoic traps are what 1-for-1s. So you're 1-for-1 your opponent, and you need a way to re-establish or also just recur some of the advantage, the card economy that you have just lost, because you're kind of minusing in a way. But if you're summoning Paleos from grave, you're definitely plussing. But we just really needed the +1s. They matter. They really do. So those are the only spells. Now for the traps, there's a huge portion of the deck. And keep in mind, we don't have Trap Trick. If we had Trap Trick, it's probably the best trap for this deck. We don't have Trap Trick. So if you guys are going to ask where's Trap Trick, we don't have that. And the Artifact Engine is in my Cyber Dragons right now. So there are some traps that like Trap Trick in the Artifact Engine that are good. But unfortunately, you know, I don't have Trap Trick, and then my Artifact Engine is in my Cyber Dragon. So we're working with all my other staples, but the trap lineup is still on point, you guys. It's still fire. So we have 3 Maria. My favorite Paleozoic. I've been preaching this card forever. Ever since Paleozoics came out, I've been preaching this card, you guys. Like, ever since Invasion of Vengeance, you guys, I've been preaching how good Morella is as a trap card, because this one card sets you up for Paleozoic, not by itself, but you're playing a back row deck, so obviously you're going to have a couple other traps to activate. And what this card does is it actually just sets you up to easily get a next turn totally awesome. Or even in Opabinia, it's going to dump a Paleo unless you already have a Paleo face down. But this one card sets you up for that. It also dumps cards like Lost Wind. It dumps cards like Breakthrough Skill. It's a really, really flexible card, and I just love it a lot. It just sets you up for so many plays. It sets you up for OTKs. It allows you to swarm the field with your little guys that are all unaffected by monster effects, and it's just really good. It's a great card. You need to play 3 of it if you want to be able to OTK next turn with a Daigusto Phoenix, Cat Shark, and Mistar Boy. You want to do that, or you can just go for double Mistar Boy, totally awesome. That's another option too. And then we have 3 Canadia. Now Canadia, some people can say it's bad, but I actually think that just because a card is bad against one particular deck doesn't mean that you should take it out of your deck completely, because there are still decks that this card is great against, and for that reason I still play 3 Canadias, because I find it's a great interaction. It's a great disruption. Book of Moon is at 1 for a reason, you guys. This is a Book of Moon. It really is. And if a card got hit to 1, you have to acknowledge how good it really is. It seems like a simplistic effect, but it actually shuts down link summoning, which is really, really important. It can actually lock down an extra monster zone. For example, if your opponent does summon that Galaxy Tomahawk and it happens to be in the upper zone, you're going to lock them out of their extra deck for the rest of that turn. So it can be even better than what it seems like on pen and paper. So always keep in mind, don't sleep on this card. And I feel like just because somebody says the card is bad doesn't mean you should just listen to them. Test the card out yourself. I've had great experiences. I have no bad experiences with Canadia. It's great. It's still good. It can even be really good against Thunder Dragons, because it doesn't matter that you can fuse face down. We know that. It matters that you can put it face down and then deal with it, because while it's face down, it can't protect itself. So you can pop it, you know? So it's good against that matchup. It's pretty great. Also in the Altergeist matchup, it really does make a difference, because putting a monster face down could result in them not being able to make their Hextia. I mean, it's a really good card. It's good against Gokis. They get 2 warriors on field. You book a Moon 1. They need an extender now. They pray to God they have an extender. It's a good card, you guys. And none of them are once per turn. And then we have 3 Olanoids. Back row is relevant. You know, you still have decks that are playing tons of back row. Thunder Dragons can play back row. They can. I'm not saying that they do. Sky Strikers, Altergeists, Dracos, you know. I think the only decks that don't really play back row are probably just going to be Gokis and even Trickstars. This deck has an incredible Trickstar matchup. It's just really good against a lot of the best decks, you guys. I have a whole video talking about how great Paleozoics is. Let me move these up closer. Or actually, no, keep them there, because I'm going to put more traps down there. And then we have 2 Dinomisius. This is probably going to go up to 3 because of how good it is against everything. We're no longer in an issue where you have boards that have Goblin protecting cards from being targeted. There are a lot of decks that are still susceptible to targeting. That is why Widow Anchor is still a good card. And in my opinion, this card is nearly just as good as Widow Anchor. It's like Widow Anchor negates and takes, but I feel like the ability to banish any card in your way is great, and it's banishing it. It's out of the game. Like it's just really, really good, you guys. It's searchable. It's not once per turn. It doesn't discard for cost. It's a great card. And then next up we have Leon Chaya. In your mid to late game, this is a 1-card Toad. Play it, chain a trap, put a frog back, banish summon Ronin, bam, Toad, just like that. And then we have one Pikaia. This card you just have to play. It's a good one of because it allows your Opabenia to become a lot more than just a searchable disruption. It become now an engine that can allow you to dig 2 cards deeper into your deck, still chain a trap, and get more Paleos engraved. I think this is a great one of it. Helps you to filter your hand. Sometimes you have excess of a trap that's not good, like if you have excess Olenoids and you're in a matchup where they just don't play back rows and you haven't got a chance to side deck because it's game 1. This is a great card to filter your hand, to get deeper into your deck so you can get better traps, get into your spells, get into your frogs. It's too good, you guys. You have to play it. You have to play it. You shouldn't cut it from your list. Just play one if you're scared of bricking on it. And then next up we have 3 rivalries and 3 goes in match. Now I feel that rivalry is not as good as goes in match in certain matchups, but I think it's imperative to play 3 of each because each of these is going to be better than one is going to be better than the other in certain matchups. And I think where rivalry really shines is in the danger matchup because all the monsters they summon are dark, but they're different types. There's like beasts and fiends and, you know, just stuff like that. And it really helps because it wipes their whole field. You know, all their stuff is dark, don't get me wrong, but it's all different types. And sometimes it could be the same type, but this is still a board wipe. And it prevents them from going into their extra deck as well. So keep that in mind because whatever they go into their extra deck, it will basically have to be a beast or a fiend based on what they had. And that prevents them from going into a card like Summon Sorceress, from going into Reproducus. And I think they even have Dinosaurs, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this card is just really good. It basically floodgates them out of their extra deck too. And they can't get out Cannon Soldier, and that's really important. Cannon Soldiers are dark, so Gozen won't stop them from doing the Cannon Soldier loop with Grapha, but this will, because Grapha's a fiend. Cannon Soldier's a machine. It's not going to be a good time for them, and you still have all your other reactive back rows to stop them as well. And Gozen, whereas Rivalry's kind of bad in certain matchups, Gozen shines in other matchups because Rivalry's not good against Thunder Dragons. It's not great against Sky Strikers, and it's not really that good against Altergeist at all. It doesn't do anything to them, but Gozen slaughters Altergeist. Gozen slaughters the Sky Strikers. Because Sky Strikers are only susceptible to Rivalry when they have Ray, because they can't go into anything else. But if you flip Rivalry at the wrong time, they can chain Ray to the effect. But what's really cool is Gozen works because while all their links are machine, they all have different attributes. So Gozen prevents them from tagging into other cards into their extra deck. And it's still really good against a lot of other decks, you guys. It really is. It even helps against Gokis. Like Gokis get 2 warriors on field easy, but with Gozen, it helps because now they're locked into Earths. So a Soul Day is still a warrior, but you can't go into her because she's not an Earth. So I just think Rivalry is really good against certain decks, but Gozen's good against a lot more decks. But I still think it's imperative to play both in your main because of the ceiling that each yields in certain matchups. And then we have Triple Solemn Strike. It's just so free, you guys. It's so free. You pair it with every other trap and it's good. Like, it's by itself, it's a negate, but you back it up with some power plays and it gets even better. Like, this plus these are just so good, you guys. It really is. And triple Lost Wind, because effect negation is key for this build. You're really trying to swarm the field with all of your little guys and set up for your OTK next turn. So you need as much disruption as possible. You need the floodgates. You need the 1-for-1 paleo guys like the Banish guy, like the Book of Moon, like the MST. And you need effect negation. You need a multitude of different kinds of traps. And next up, the cards that I feel that Paleozoic players are no longer playing that are still some of the best traps are Waboku and Threatening Roar. They are so free, you guys. What these do is they guarantee that you will have a follow-up. Because if you did not know, all the Paleozoic trap guys are unaffected by monster effects. You back that up with your opponent can't run over them by battle, brother, Borreload is not going to save them. Boresword is not going to OTK you. And now what's going to happen is they need a Dark Hole. They need a Raigeki. They need a Widow Anchor. But guess what? If you're not playing Sky Strikers, they really can't do anything to your little guys. And that helps because now it guarantees that your field presence is going to be maintained and established. And you have all these little guys as a follow-up. The Paleozoics are investments. Every Paleozoic trap is an investment that will pay for itself in the future. And you will continue to recycle and use that same Dinomyscus that you banished the card with 3 turns ago. And now it's paying its price back by being used as fodder for your Links and your XYZs. And this guarantees that they will stay on the field because they're only 1200 attack. They're little. This helps in match procedures and it's free. You can play it anytime. if your opponent's going to OTK you, I think that sometimes this can be better than a reactive card like Mirror Force, because you can activate it anytime. You can activate it before they summon that Trigate, before they summon the monster that would negate the Storming. And you can always pair it with the negation as well. You have 6 of these. So really good cards, you guys. Really, really good cards. I just think Paleozoics can be played in so many different ways. And while this list is great, and it really is a good list in my opinion, there are still other great lists too. And there's really like no wrong way to play the deck. It's just, it's a trap deck, you guys. You can get really creative with it. Now for the extra deck, there's triple Mastar Boy, 1 Topo. I was trying to tell Kool that Shrimp Man is the best in this deck. This deck plays Topo better than any deck can ever even try to play Topo, because every time you're summoning a trap on your opponent's turn, you're literally, your traps become this, a Raigeki plus whatever it is. So for example, your Gozen becomes, oh yeah, like you're gonna be under the same attribute, but whatever you keep is gonna die anyways. And your last win is like a, oh, I'm going to negate and follow up with a Raigeki. So what this guy does is it actually, and people don't believe when I say it, and it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. But what this guy does is it turns every single trap you have into a Raigeki. So it does everything that it does plus Raigeki. So imagine this. All your traps become, do this action and then destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Because your Paleozoics cannot be destroyed by Topo. And everybody knows this. Anybody playing Paleozoics knows that they're unaffected by monsters, including him. And he's not once per turn. Did you guys know he triggers as many times as you could trigger him? And every time you're flipping a trap, you're summoning a guy in his zone. You're blowing up the field. And you know what else you do next? You end up summoning Opabenia so that it stays. And then you use Opabenia to search your removal guys. And one of your removal guys, your Dino Mission says target 1 card on the field face up. So you can banish him. That way you can get open zones and then go into your Totally Awesome after that. So even though it's mandatory and it can get in your way of summoning your Totally Awesome, you can actually just go Opabenia, get him out of here. And now you can summon your Totally Awesomes and they won't be killed by Topo. And you'll have complete control over the duel because you've Raigeki them 2 to 3 times. And sometimes Raigekiing them once is enough, and he still can do crazy amounts of damage. So Topo is the greatest in this deck, you guys. Too easy to make. And then Borreload. Trust me, if we had Borosword, it would be in here. But Borreload is still a great, it's a great supplement as well. Just kind of like a pseudo sword. It's not gonna always OTK, but it helps you to out a lot of things that can't be targeted, and that can be a struggling something that Paleos struggle with because a lot of their removal targets. But that's why the floodgates like Rivalry and Gozen are good, and that's why strikes are good, and you know, and that's why you have Borreload and the Topo. Next up is 3 Totally Awesomes, 3 Opabenias, and 1 Alamalacaris, 1 Sky Cavalry Centuria, 1 Cat Shark, and 1 Daigusto Phoenix. I rarely ever see lists playing these cards. Like, it's been so long since I've seen lists playing these cards. I've never stopped playing these cards. And by the way, like I said, I built this deck for Kool. So this is my list, but this is Kool's decks for this regional. And I'm gonna help him to master it, and he's gonna do great, you guys. I'm gonna give him everything that I know. I'm gonna teach him everything I know. I'm give him all my insight on the deck, and he's gonna do wonders with this deck. But this is the XYZ lineup. These are your OTK makers. You can go double Mastar Boy and Totally Awesome, and you know that's still gonna be game because your guys are gonna be actually 24, which is 48, and then Totally Awesome is gonna be 32. That's exactly 8,000. Or this OTK, which I like, which is the Mastar Boy, and then you make these guys is you can make this guy, make him able to attack twice. He does 6,000 damage now because Cat Shark will double him, so he's attacking 3,000 twice. Cat Shark attacks for 1,000, so that's 7,000, and then Mastar Boy attacks for 19, so that's 89. So it's more damage than the double Mastar Boy and also the Toad Play. And I think that sometimes this comes up a lot more. And it's not just for the OTK; these actually come up in different scenarios, especially the Cat Shark. It's really good because it's a quick effect, and you can do it in damage step. And this guy protects itself, and you can recycle it. So it's really good. And Sky Cavalry, similar to Borreload, is just there to out stuff that can't be targeted or destroyed. The side deck is not finished, but it almost is. So obviously the Spice, 3 Heat Wave. People are asleep on this card. Like, this card is the greatest in Paleos because if you're not opening with Swap Frog, you're basically not normal summoning in the first place. And the only time this conflicts with the Spellbook engine, but every time you side this in, you side out the Spellbook so that you don't have to worry about that situational bricky hand. So Heat Wave is insane. Do you know what this card says? At the start of your main phase 1, you win the duel. That's what this card says, okay? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, there are cards like Vanity's Fiend that can stop you from special summoning, But a card that says you can't normal summon or special summon is even better. Because now you set one. There's no spells that saying you can set more than one time this turn. Like, you get additional normal summons, but no, you can't set more than one monster. So any deck that's not like Altergeist that can't defend themselves with back row, they're just going to die. Because Paleozoics are a trap deck that OTKs. And Paleozoics are faster than Altergeist. They're way more fast-paced. They set up their engine quicker. They get out negates and disruptions just like Altergeist do. And for an Altergeist player, this basically says, yeah, I don't think so. I don't know what you thought you were doing with your Mulliseek, but set that face down, please. So it's even good against Altergeist. It beats everything, you guys. Sky Strikers, they can summon their token, that one of drones, that one of. So either one of the three engages in that one token, and then that's it. That one of drones, that's all they get. They can't go into their links. They can't summon Ray. They can set it, and that's it. So yeah, it beats everything. Altergeist, Gokis literally cannot play. FTK literally cannot play. Thunder Dragons literally cannot play. Like, there's no way around it. Like, there's no way to negate this. You can't hand trap this. You can't Ash it. You can't Droll it. You can't Ogre it. You can't Veiler. You can't Permanence. You can't do anything. This card wins you games. If you draw it, you win. Seriously, like, it's that good. And you only win if you have a follow-up, but you have to think of how aggressive this deck is. Paleozoics are no joke. So yeah, Heat Wave. Why are Paleozoic players not playing it? I don't know. But whenever I get competitive with Paleos, I always play Heat Waves, you guys. But whenever I'm playing for fun, and if you guys have noticed, I've never built a side deck for my Paleozoics on any deck profiles, and that's because I was hiding this spice from everybody because I didn't want anybody to copy me. But it's okay. I don't mind if you guys copy me now because Kool's going to top with his deck, and he's going to make me proud. Next up, we have Barry Statue of Torrent. So I felt that this card is better than Inspector Border because it not only stops your opponent from basically special summoning, but in a sense, in the danger matchup, they can't activate their monster effects either because their monster effects are to what? Special summon. So it's like a border plus more benefits than that. So I just think it's great. It beats like everything that's not Altergeist because everything else needs to special summon. And the cool thing is, even if Sky Strikers can normal summon Ray and go into Shizuku, they're going to have to wait until the end turn. So that means they're playing a turn behind, and you're going to OTK them. And you're going to pop their multi-roll. As soon as they activate it, you're going to pop it or banish it. And you can just pop more back rows. And it gets so good, you guys. This card beats, like, everything. It's so good. It's an Aqua. If you have it in hand, you can sack it off totally awesome. It has synergy with everything. You can play it under Rivalry and under Gozen, which the floodgates just don't hurt your deck because all your stuff, I only make Star Boys, Toads, Opabinias, and all Malkarises. Like, the only other time is, like, if I'm doing, like, these kind of plays. These rarely come up. So the floodgates like those are just so great, especially with this, because now you can't even Kaiju me, and you can't even Lava Golem. It's just so good, you guys. It's so hard. It's like Vanity's Emptiness or Vanity's Fiend, because other than Shizuku, can you name one deck that's not Paleozoics, that's water-based, that's actually relevant? I mean, Mermails are okay. They're not like a meta deck right now, so this just beats like everything. So this and Heat Wave, you go first, you're normally going to win. And then we have double Lava Golem and 2 Kaijus. So the thing with the theory on playing Spear Mode was the fact that if you're playing against a deck that you need to Spear Mode, they're going to Gumblar you in the first place. And it's better to not have a card like Spear Mode in your hand, because you can Spear Mode them, but you're only going to have one other card in your hand. And that card can be just one trap, and that's just is not going to help. If it's Swap Frog, it's still not going to help because you already normaled. So ultimately, Spear Mode just doesn't work the way people think it does in Paleos. Because if you're playing against that deck, they're going to rip your hand apart. And now Spear Mode is a neg because there's no follow-up behind it, and they can still kill you. So we felt that that's why the side deck's incomplete, because we felt that hand traps like Winter Cherries and Drone Lock would be good against the Goki matchup and the FTK. And that's what I'm going to help Kool to get. And then 1 Hatronade because he has the second one. And then only 2 Dark Brights because I only have 2, but this is going to bump up to 3. So this is going to go up to 3. And probably 2 more cards that stop Evenly Matched and Twin Twisters. And then the Winter Cherries and the Drone Locks will be incorporated into the main. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole deck profile, you guys. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. And keep in mind, I made this deck for my friend, for one of my best friends, you guys. And I did this because I really want for him to have a chance to top an event and for him to be able to go to nationals with me. I don't want to go to nationals alone anymore, you guys. I want to go to Nats and play with my friends, and I really want him to go with me. So I built this deck, and I put my very all into it. I put so much effort into making this deck good because I really care about Kool being able to win. So yeah, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day, all right? And don't do drugs. Peace out, y'all.